All right, E3 day zero. I literally just got home, walked in the door. It's about 9 o'clock. It has been a full day of press conferences, the battle of the big black boxes. Xbox One, PlayStation 4. We had a little bit of EA and Ubisoft in the middle there. But, leaving the day, I got to say the big news is $3.99 versus $4.99. You can't deny that that's the biggest news. Yes, there were tons of games. I'll get to that. This is going to be a big, long, rambling diatribe. Hopefully it'll be a little focused. But you can't deny that the biggest headline is that one box costs $4.99 and the other box costs $3.99. That is huge, huge for this holiday season, and Microsoft is certainly behind the eight ball on this one. Despite a fantastic press conference from them with lots of things I'm really excited about, I have to admit I pre-ordered the Xbox One. I also pre-ordered the PlayStation 4. But that's me. I think for most people it's going to be, I think for most of America, most of the world, most of these worldwide launches, if you're going to have these comparable experiences with all these third-party games looking exactly the same on both boxes, and you have one that's $100 less, that is huge. Also, Sony making big points for the hardcore and all of the messaging around the last couple of weeks with regard to used games, with regard to lending games to people, with regard to having an always-on requirement. None of that, and they were laser focused on Microsoft with that, just speaking right to that point and saying, we don't need that. We're listening to you, gamers. I think these two conferences can be summed up with one company saying we're going to dictate what's cool, and the other company saying we're listening to you. I happen to think the dictating approach is cool. I'm not saying that's necessarily a negative thing, but I think Sony wins massive points for really having the message that we're listening to you. We want to be the gamers' system, and we understand that you guys want to be able to keep the status quo. You want to be able to not have to have your console check in. We know that you want to be able to lend games to people and sell games back to retailers and not have to worry about any of that stuff with online restrictions. And that's big. I can't overestimate how that is I think the takeaway. Now let's get to the games, because there were a ton of games. And I have to say, if you just look at from a games perspective, from my point of view, for games that I'm excited about, Microsoft was the stronger conference. And I have to say that because I think there were more, it was jam-packed with games. It was wall-to-wall games. Microsoft really was up to their word, that they lived up to their word, that they were going to make this conference about games. Man, there was no talk of anything else. They just came out and showed game after game after game after game, and a lot of really cool things. And I think really what made an impact on me was the fact that so many of the games that they showed, they had never shown before. And there were surprises, and there were unexpected things, and there were new titles to digest, whereas Sony came out and showed a lot of things that we already knew existed. Yes, Watch Dogs looks cool, but we saw that last year. Yes, Infamous looks cool, but we already knew that was happening. There were a Killzone, a lot of these titles that we already knew about, and so it didn't have the impact. Yes, there were still some surprises from Sony, but I felt like there were bigger ones, at least in my wheelhouse, for Microsoft. So let's go down the list here, and I'll hit some of my thoughts on all that stuff. I came away from Microsoft being excited. Well, Witcher 3, yes, I already knew about it, but it's the game I want to play most right this second. Oh my god, it looks awesome. I cannot wait to play Witcher 3. But they came right out of the gate with a really extended trailer for Metal Gear Solid, and that game looks gorgeous, it looks different, it looks interesting, and what I loved most about the demo that they showed was that it had tons of actual explaining to you what the game is going to look like, who's going to be in it, what are the kinds of things you're going to do. it was speed ramping to different moments, so you can really see that it's an open world MGS game, which is really cool. It was a great way to start off the show. I came away from there with 3 titles that I didn't think I was going to love, didn't know about, and I'm super amped for. Sunset Overdrive, which is Insomniac's new game. Wow. Yes, we saw a cinematic trailer, but I think that conveys this idea of this cartoony, parkouring, leaping around, using the environment, taking down enemies in really fun, interesting ways with that Insomniac wacky gun stuff. Man, that game looked great. It looked like it had oozing style. It's interesting that Fuse doesn't have that style now. I wonder if they decided to go with this game to have the cartoony graphic look, and that led to the change in how Fuse looked. I don't know. Conspiracy theories abound. But man, I got amped by that game. Microsoft's little indie section where they showed Below, which is from Capybara Games. Awesome guys. Fantastic looking game. Really interesting. I love the exploration. It kind of looks like old school Zelda. Man, that game had me amped. And Titanfall. Yes, it looks like it's going to be multiplayer only. I really wish it had a single-player campaign, but oh my gosh, it's what I always wanted MechWarrior to be. Fast-paced, exciting, jumping in and out of mechs, leaping on the environment. The ejector sequence when he ejects out of the mech and then lands on the other mech and jacks into it. Oh, yeah. I was so amped for that game. That looks awesome. And then, of course, you've got Quantum Break, which we didn't get an in-gameplay thing, but that concept looked really cool of stopping time and then having to grab onto someone and hold them, or else they would be stuck in time, and he has some sort of superpower that way. Graphics looked amazing. It just looks like a really great sci-fi concept, which makes me excited. Killer Instinct, you got to be excited about Killer Instinct. Looked like awesome. It was all super playable, and they have a new arcade stick, which I wish they'd shown more of. Rise actually looked cool. The Greek, I guess it. No, not Greek. It's Rome. Yeah, Rome. I thought that looked really cool. Yes, it had a lot of button prompts, a la QTE type stuff. But man, it looked really cool. It looked like an interesting time period to be set in. Stuff that I hadn't seen before. It was awesome. So all these games. I was disappointed by Dead Rising 3. I thought that it lost a lot of the charm that made Dead Rising, where you like put cones on, safety cones on zombies' heads, or toss teddy bears at them, or get in strange, funny costumes. I loved that about Dead Rising. That was the charm of those games, was zombies as an amusement park, as zombies as not as being something terrifying, but as being something fun to play with. Lawn mowing over them, there really wasn't much of that on display. Yes, there was that saw blade gun, but it really looked like it was a much more gritty tone for that series, which bummed me out. Project Spark looked cool. It looked like sort of Minecraft meets Little Big Planet, but I don't know. We'll see on that. I was actually really impressed with Forza. I want to play it. I really, really want to play it. I'm excited about playing it on the show floor in the next few days. What else did they show? The biggest thing was that it's going to be $500, and for all the great stuff that was shown, wall-to-wall games, I was super excited. Titanfall was a great way to end things. It looks so good. The games look so good. I'm so pumped, but that's expensive. I already pre-ordered it. I'm buying it. I just don't know how many they're going to sell at this holiday season compared to Sony. It's a tough proposition to say pay $100 more for what else do you get? TV stuff? Really? Yeah. Okay. Moving on. EA. I thought all the press conferences today were top notch. We really are in a great. They kept saying that we're in a great year for gaming, and it's true. I don't think we've ever seen a launch lineup from either of these platform holders that is going to be as strong as we've got this year for launch games. These are amazing looking games, really dense and interesting and different. There's your shooters and your third person action games and stuff, but I'm stoked. And even EA brought a game. I was really bummed they didn't show more of Dragon Age 3. The trailer that they showed really failed to impress me, and it's still a year and a half out, which is really a bummer. But I'm glad they're taking the time to make that game right. I want it to be impressive and amazing when it comes out. And I guess I'll have to tie myself over with Witcher 3. But EA, they showed more of Titanfall, which was awesome. What else did they show? I can remember. Well, of course, the big excitement for me was Mirror's Edge. When it's ready is a bummer, but man, a Mirror's Edge on the Frostbite engine looks so good. I cannot wait. It's these different kinds of experiences. It's not the same kinds of experiences. Yeah, Battlefield 4 looks great. It looks incredible, and it's going to be 60 frames per second. That's awesome. But military shooter, I don't need another one. What I do need is something like Mirror's Edge where I feel like I'm exploring the city in a brand new way. Yeah, we already had one Mirror's Edge, but I think they're going to get it right this time, and she's not going to ever need a gun, and it's just going to be silky smooth and amazing. What else did they show? Oh, the teaser for Star Wars Battlefront, which was a super teaser, but the idea that they're making it, yeah, dudes, make it. And then the sports stuff all looked cool. Ubisoft, the standout there, of course, was The Division. Oh my god, I want to play that game. That might be, I think that's in the top 2 or 3 games of the show so far. That and Sunset Overdrive, Titanfall. But man, The Division, I want to play it right now. It looks like a third-person MMO. It's a role-playing game, an open-world role-playing game. Yes, shooter, MMO, with insanely detailed graphics. I cannot wait for The Division. Yeah, it was a shocker. It was amazing. Excellent presentation, too. Usually when you have people simulating multiplayer, they do a terrible job of conveying what it's really like in your headset. They got great actors to do it this time because those guys were clearly reading a script, but they were doing it in a way, very monotone and realistic, and it sold that game very, very well. And then Sony. I thought Sony's press conference was a little uneven. It lagged at times. They talked about movies. They talked about TV stuff, which, it felt a little slow to get rolling. They talked about PS3 stuff, which they needed to do. They have a really strong lineup. Beyond Two Souls looks great and so different than I thought it was going to be. All of a sudden, she's in the military. What is that about? And there's going to be some great PS3 titles, before the end of the year. So yes, talk about that. Talk about Vita. I'm glad Vita. I wish they'd talked more about how the Vita is going to interact with the PS4. But as far as like surprise games from Sony, I guess Final Fantasy 15, which used to be Versus 13-2, which is such a strange. It doesn't make any sense to me, all that naming BS. Like, who cares what its name is? But it looks great. And Kingdom Hearts 3, which is awesome. But neither of those games really looked next-gen to me. I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to play Kingdom Hearts 3. I think it's going to be awesome. But other than that, what great thing was there in the Sony press conference as far as gaming goes? I wanted to see Last Guardian. It wasn't there. The Order looks awesome. But again, it was just a cinematic trailer. We don't even know what kind of game it is. Mad Max, again, we don't even know what kind of game it is. It reminds me of the Microsoft conference when we saw that cool guy scaling the wall with the fireworks behind him. I don't even know what kind of game it is. It's something, but why show it if we don't even know what kind of game we're looking at? But then the way that they steal the show is they come out and they say, you want to be, consumer trust is top priority. We want that to be our mantra. And I can't believe that, how just a few short years ago, Jack Tretton had to come out on stage and apologize to everyone for letting their credit cards get hacked, and dealing with that in such a poor way. And this was the company, like, are we ever going to trust Sony again? And here they are, just a couple of years later, as the company that is all about consumer trust, and we're going to let you do whatever you want with your game. You can sell it back. We don't care. We're going to let you not have to be always on, and we're going to sell you the thing for $100 less than our competitors. Drop the mic. We're out. Wow. Destiny, I can't not talk about Destiny. Destiny looks fantastic. It looks to me a lot like Halo. A lot like Halo, which isn't a bad thing. I was just hoping to see what else that company could do, what else Bungie was capable of. And I mean, I'm glad that they're right in their wheelhouse, making an awesome game. It certainly looks very awesome. I just, if given me the choice between Titanfall and Destiny, I'm going to go Titanfall. I'm just more excited about doing something different that doesn't look like Halo. I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I wish there had been more different kinds of experiences. I thought it was strange that Microsoft never talked about Kinect. I mean, I think that they went right after the hardcore and said, we're not going to talk about Kinect, but I want to know why Kinect is required for all these games if it doesn't use them. Like, where's the voice recognition stuff? Where's the interesting, unique, different kind of experience? Yeah, they showed us awesome hardcore experiences that we all wanted to see, but I would love to have somebody walk out there and really blow my mind and reinvent the wheel. Like, Milo never turned into anything when Peter Molyneux showed it to us years ago with the original Kinect, but I want to see somebody thinking in those terms. I want to see these companies using this technology in new and different ways. I loved Sony's bringing out all the indie developers and highlighting a Transistor, which looks like an awesome game. I mean, I think the indie stuff on the PS4 is some of the best stuff that they showed. I'm super excited about a lot of those games. They're not something that you can only do on the PS4. In fact, a few of them, like Don't Starve, you can already buy on Steam right now. But I found that to be the most exciting things. I want them to show me new experiences, not just the same old shooters. But overall, a thrilling day, an incredible way to start off E3. I think this week is going to be amazing. It's going to be one of the best E3s ever. I thought all the press conferences were right at the top level. And when it comes right down to it, what is your marquee? What is your headline? It's that Xbox One is $500 and PS4 is $400. That's just the biggest news of the whole thing. What did you guys think? And what do you want me to talk about all the rest of the week? You should see my calendar. I wish I had it here. I'd hold it up. I am jam-packed with meetings. I can't wait to share with you. Stay tuned every day this week at night. I'll put up a new video and I'll tell you about what I saw. Tomorrow I start off with Nintendo, who I hope brings it in a big way as well. No press conference for them, but I'll be hands-on before E3 opens in their area. So I will give you all my impressions, and if you want to ask me questions, at Jeff Cannata on Twitter, or you can write comments here on YouTube. And I will do my best to answer them in the following day's blog. Thanks for watching. At Jeff Cannata, 2 N's, 1 T, and I'll see you tomorrow.